Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you for clicking on this video. And today I'm going to be sharing with you the best advice I have ever received that has helped my marriage greatly. Of course, there are a lot of advice that can come from different people, from different channels. There are so many topics and so many dynamics to marriage. But if I would say in my 15 years of marriage, one advice that really was the game changer, that advice is what I'm going to be sharing with you in this video. Now, people have gotten different forms of advice from different people. Some people have gotten advice from uncles, from parents, from siblings, from friends, from relationship coaches, and from mentors and all the likes, pastors, religious leaders, and all the like. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in my own case, I did get advice from a whole lot of people, but each person's advice moved me in a certain direction, sometimes positive, sometimes not so effectual. And there are times in marriage where a couple of areas of your marriage will be working fine, but one or two particular areas in your marriage, which are critical areas, may not just be working as it should. And those critical areas kind of color negatively every other thing you're doing right. Now, I was in that kind of position, and out of desperation, in a place of prayer, God gave me this advice. And this particular one singular advice completely changed my marriage for the better. And you know what that advice is? Now, God said to me, in my desperation during prayer, asking God for answers, how to solve this issue, He just said something simple. He said, hand over every aspect of your marriage and your life to me. I am the one that created marriage. Now, this is God talking. I know all the dynamics around marriage. I know you completely because I created you. I know your spouse completely because I also created your spouse. So, if you want the best out of your marriage relationship, hand every aspect to me. From your sex life, to your finances, to your interaction with your in-laws, to communication between the two of you, to everything, every single thing pertaining to your marriage and indeed your life. God said to me, if you just hand it over and trust me, I know what to do and I know how to navigate it and make it beautiful and perfect. Of course, I know for some people, this may not sound so fancy and so fly. It may just sound a little bit traditional, but I can tell you, marriage has some curveballs that you may not really have all the smarts to handle. Marriage has some unique dynamics that come. That's why people refer to it as the many waters of marriage. Marriage has so many waters that when they come, all your past experiences, all your wisdom, even all the books you've read may not just quite be able to help you at that time. If not, why is it that with all the knowledge people have about marriage, all the books available, all the movies available, all the counselors available, why are there still divorces? Why are there still separations? Why are there still challenges? The truth of the matter is this. We have to come to the place where we appreciate that the marriage institution was instituted by God, and the producer or the creator of anything is the best person to tell you how that thing should function. Now, people in our time, in our generation, have begun to create all sorts of variants, different strange variants around the marriage institution. You have same-sex marriages, you have polyamorous marriages, you have swingers, you have strange things that people are coming up with, trying to interpret the marriage institution in the way they feel like it. I mean, the other day we saw somebody who said she was married to the Eiffel Tower. Another person did a wedding just a few months ago. A mayor in Mexico did a wedding with a crocodile. Another lady did a wedding with a cow, and strangely, people attended and celebrated it. So, different variations and strange and uncommon interpretations of marriage are already in our times now, are already at play now. In fact, it has gotten so dynamic and so uncommon and so strange that people are even beginning to change their gender from the biological gender that they had before into genders that they feel they should have. Some people are beginning to identify as animals, identifying as a wolf, identifying as a cat. Strange things are happening these days. And I'll just say one simple thing. Whatever you have in your head as your own bias or your own idea of how marriage should be or how your life should be, that is different from what God created, that is different from the natural, you better have the wisdom, the smarts and intelligence, and the power and grace to manage the fallouts that come from those adulterations and variations. Because I can tell you, I have spoken to some people have come to me for help. Many times you don't hear this in the mainstream media, but some of these variations and adulterations of the marriage institution, moving it from what it is supposed to be by God into what human beings are interpreting for themselves, and all these variations, even in your identification of who you are and your sexuality, all these variations from the norm and from the natural. A lot of people are having major problems and challenges that they don't have a clue how to handle. So I won't argue with you. You may have your ideas, you may have your idiosyncrasies, you may have your preferences, you may have your strong beliefs, and you may have your justification for whatever it is you want to adulterate or you want to change, or whichever line you want to toe as regards marriage and as regards your own life. The only thing I will tell you is this, and like I said before, you better have the smarts, the wisdom, the power and the grace to handle the uncommon and unusual negative fallouts that come out of these adulterations of the natural and the normal. So when God told me to hand over everything to Him, every aspect of my marriage, at first I wondered, how am I supposed to do this? And He said to me, simple, just in prayer, say, I hand over every area. I hand over my finances. I hand over our communication. I hand over our love life. I hand over our sex life. I hand over our peace. I hand over our plans. I hand over our goals. I hand over our interactions with our in-laws. Everything. Just say it in prayer. And then God, being the perfect Father that He is, and being the gentle person that He is, the gentle personality that He is, He always wants that invitation. He never interferes. So when you invite Him in prayer, He now comes in and begins to make everything perfect. And sincerely, I'll tell you, we are still growing into perfection, but where I was before is not where I am now. Where I am now is a whole lot better. And if you ask me what is that special thing I did, I tried all sorts of things in the past. I tried with my wisdom, I did research, I bought books, I did all sorts, asked questions. None of it was the game changer until I handed over everything about my marriage to the one that created marriage, God Himself. And it makes all the sense. If, for example, I give you a phone, and with this phone, you suddenly see a nail. Let's assume that this is a nail, like this pencil is a nail, and you feel that this phone can serve the function of a hammer. And then you use the phone and begin to hammer down on the nail. The interesting thing is that nobody is going to stop you at that point because you made your choice. You decided that your phone was a hammer and used your phone to hammer down on a nail. The only problem is that there will be repercussions. So like I said, and I say it again, you better have the smarts and the grace and the power to handle the repercussions that come from abuse of what something was designed to ordinarily do. You have a phone, it's designed to be a phone to answer calls and for you to send messages. It's not designed to be a hammer. You have a marriage institution created by God between a man and a woman. It's designed to be that way. It's not designed to be all the strange variations that are coming out in our time. But you can argue with me, you can dispute it. However, you better have the wisdom, the smarts, and the grace to handle all fallouts that come out of your adulteration of what God has created. So, my advice, which has worked for me, is pick all the key areas in your life and in your marriage. If it is communication that is a problem, if it is your sex life that is a problem, if it is finances that is a problem, if it is interfacing with your in-laws that is a problem, whatever it is, if maybe there's something toxic about your relationship, or if there's infidelity in your relationship, or there's a lack of trust in your relationship, hand it over to God. Most of the way you've been approaching it may not get the best result. Hand it over to God in prayer and say it. Say it while you're praying. God, I hand this over to you. You'll be amazed how God will alert you when situations arises, how God will inform you on how to manage and handle issues. You will find yourself navigating through your marriage in a way that you will even acknowledge that there is God at work in your relationship. That's the best and the greatest advice that I have ever received regarding marriage. And this advice is one advice I also share with you, and I hope it works for you. Thank you so much for listening to this video. I hope it added value to you. If you like this kind of content, you can do well to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and also click on the notification bell so that you can get more videos as they come out. I see you successful in your marriage relationships. May God bless your marriages, and see you again in the next video.